So in previous class, we have discussed some basic information about process, the uh, how what actually a process is, and what a process is made up of, what are the various components of a process, and what is PCB. So we have seen some details regarding this process. So in today's class, we will see what is a process scheduling, what actually is process scheduling, and we will try to know the different concepts or different things which are related to this process scheduling. Okay, if you see the definition here, the process scheduling is the activity of the process manager that handles the removal of the running process from the CPU and the selection of another process on the basis of a particular strategy. Okay, before going to this topic in detail, I want to uh, explain some situation, or we will consider one scenario, and let's uh, relate that example to this concept. Okay, so when you try to access a file, so yesterday we have learned that a program is a thing which is stored in hard disk, and a process is stored in main memory. So we have seen this. So we know that program is a passive one, and process is an active one. So here active means the program which is in a running state. Understand? So in normal multi-programming computer systems where more than one program runs at a time, so in that thing, in that concept, this process scheduling plays a key role. So without this scheduling of processes, the multi-programming concept will be will not be possible. Why? So let me explain this, what actually a process scheduling is. So when you have more than one process in your memory or in your computer, so you should understand that a CPU can run or execute a process one at a time. So it cannot run multiple processes at a time. So that is not possible. So in that case, we have to schedule the process, or we have to decide which process has to take the CPU first and which process has to wait. So this is called the process scheduling. So uh, you will decide, or the operating system will decide the priorities of each and every process, and based on the priorities, the process scheduling happens. So in general, we have schedules in our daily life, right? So schedules means it is nothing but we will set a time, or we will decide a time when to do, or when to do, right? So it's like a timetable. So that is scheduling. So in the computer system also, each and every process should be scheduled so that it can be executed. So if we have only one process in computer, then there is no need of scheduling, because we have only one process to execute, and the CPU is available for that process. But when you have more than one process, like like which is happening right now, I'm running the PPT, I'm running Zoom, I'm running the web browser, I'm running other process, user processor also. So I have more than one process running at a process executing right now. So in this case, there should be a strategy, or there should be a process in order to schedule the process, or schedule the programs. Understand? So that everything goes smoothly and everything executes smoothly, right? So the we can say that process scheduling is nothing but deciding when a particular process is executed, or when a particular process is given to CPU. So that is nothing but process scheduling. Okay, so because of process scheduling, multi-programming is possible. Multi-programming is nothing but executing more than one program at a time. So um, here, mm, at the background, there may be many things happening, like deciding when which process has to execute first, or deciding the priorities of the process. So all these things happens at the background. Okay, now let's see the second one. The process scheduling is an essential part of multi-programming operating system. Such operating systems allow more than one process to be loaded into executable memory at a time, and the loaded process shares the CPU using time multiplexing. Yeah. So, like I said just now, in this multi-programming operating system, in order to execute multiple programs at a time, so it should follow the um, process, or it should follow. It should have the strategy of process scheduling. Understand? Right. The OS maintains all PCBs in process scheduling queues. The OS maintains a separate queue for each of the process states. In yesterday's class, we have learned that each and every process is represented in the form of PCBs, process control blocks. Okay, and this operating system maintains all the process which are in the form of PCBs in queues. So there is a queue for each and every state of the process. So we have seen different state process states in yesterday's class. We have seen new state, we have seen what we say waiting state, running state, ready state, terminated state. So for every state of a process, there is a queue. Understand? So whenever a process changes its queue, the PCB link will also get changed, or PCBs are moved from one queue to another queue. We will see what are the different types of queues in coming slides, but uh, keep this in mind that operating system maintains queues for a process in order to wait, because there are if there are more than one process ready for executing, then in order to maintain the balance, in order to properly execute the process, it should maintain some queues so that all get equal share, or all gets equal part of CPU in order to execute. Okay, when the state of the process is changed, its PCB is unlinked from its current queue and moved to its new state queue. So, like I said, when the process change its state, suppose if it changes states from ready state to waiting state, so the PCB in ready state should unlink itself from the ready state, and it should link with the waiting state. So that means moving from one state to another state queue, or from moving from one queue to another queue. So the PCB will move from one queue to another queue based on the current state the process is. Okay, okay. I hope you are getting what is a queue and what is a state. So let's see the different scheduling queues this operating system maintains. You can see here there are three queues available here. One is job queue, a ready queue, and device queue. So let us see what actually a job queue is. This queue keeps all the processes in the system. Let us imagine that there are 10 process running in the computer system. Currently, there are 10 processes. That means there are 10. Let's imagine that there are 10 programs running in the computer system. So this job queue holds all these 10 processes in its queue. So all the processes which are currently running in the computer are maintained in job queue. Understand? Maybe they are they may be in hard disk or in any other place. So basically, all the processes which are running currently are, or which are in the computer system, are in the job queue. And the second one is ready queue. This queue keeps a set of all processes residing in main memory, ready and waiting to execute. A new process is always put in this queue. So ready queue is the queue which is maintained in RAM, or the processes which are in RAM, those processes are kept in ready queue. Okay, you have to understand the steps. First, the programs are in hard disk. So let us suppose you have a movie. That movie is in hard disk. That means if you want to execute that one right now, that movie is in job queue. Understand? And when you double click on that movie from the hard disk is placed in the RAM. Now that movie is shifted from job queue to ready queue, because all the processes which are in the RAM or main memory are maintained in ready queue. That means they are ready to be executed, or they are ready to get executed. Okay, so you can see here, this queue keeps all set of processes residing in main memory. Main memory is nothing but RAM, ready and waiting to execute. So these are in ready state. These were in waiting state, or these are in ready state. A new process is always put in this queue. So whenever you create a process, or whenever a process is created, that process is first initially is placed in ready queue. That means this process has been created, and it is ready to be executed by the CPU. Okay, now device queues. Suppose if the process is running and it has requested for an IO device, like it has requested for a scanner, or it has requested for a printer device. That means currently it is not uh, running state. It's not in a running state, executing state. That means it is in a idle state, because it is waiting for an IO device. So all the processes which are waiting for the IO devices are kept in device queues. Okay, so this may happen like this. If a process is running, suppose you are typing a document, Word document, and you want to um, give a printout. That means you click on Control P and you give a printout. That means currently you are requesting for an IO device. That means your process is placed in device queues. After that IO operation is done, or after the printout has done, then again your process which is there in device queues is again placed in ready queue. That means the IO operation is finished. Now the document is ready to execute, or the process is ready to execute. So these are the three places or positions where you can see a process. A process initially, a process can be in a hard disk. A process can be placed in main memory, or a process can be waiting for a IO device. Okay, so these are the different types of queues which are maintained by the operating system in the process of executing this process. All right, so this simple diagram will illustrate us this process execution cycle. So this is a job queue. That means uh, these programs are in the queue. That means they are not ready to execute. They are just in the queue. All the processes which are currently there are in this queue, job queue. And from this job queue, they are placed in ready queue. That means in RAM. So these are the programs which are ready to get executed. Understand? So these are in ready queue right now. And from ready queue, they are one by one, they are allocated to CPU, so that CPU can execute this process. And after CPU execution is finished, then that process is terminated. So after the execution is finished. And you can see two cases here, case one and case two here. CPU can again put back that process into ready queue in some cases. You can see in dotted lines. So after executing, if an interrupt occurs, any kind of interrupts, that then the CPU will stop executing that process, and it will place that in the ready queue again. That means it will place back that process in the main memory. And in second case, if the process is running here and the process is requested for IO operation, input output operation, then in that case also CPU will release that process, and that process will be in IO waiting queue, like the document which we have discussed right now. So that will be in IO waiting queue. So after the IO operation is done, again that process is placed in ready queue. That means the IO operation is finished. Now I am ready to uh, run again or execute again. So again it will be placed at the last or at the first, or based on the data structure or the strategy we use in this queue. Okay, it will be placed at last. Okay, so in this way, the process will shift its positions from one queue to another queue based on its state. Understand? So all the programs which are not currently running are placed in job queue. All the programs which are ready to execute are placed in ready queue. All the programs which are waiting for the IO operations are put in the device queue or IO waiting queue. Got it? So these are the three types of queues. Now let's talk about schedulers. Okay, now these are the important some special type of softwares which actually handles this scheduling task. So scheduling is nothing but selecting a process and placing that process in any type of queue or giving them into a CPU. Now, who does this work? You can see three types of schedulers here: long-term scheduler, short-term scheduler, and medium schedulers. These three schedulers are responsible of moving a process from one queue to another queue. Or these three schedulers are responsible for scheduling the processes. Understand? Now let's see one by one what actually a long-term scheduler is. It is also called as a job scheduler. A long-term scheduler determines which programs are admitted to the system for processing. It selects processes from the queue and loads them into the memory for execution. So you have seen the three steps here, or three locations. One is the job queue, second is the ready queue, and third one is the device queue. Now this long-term scheduler will place the process from the job queue. It will select a process from the job queue and it will place that what we say process in the ready queue. So this is the task performed by the long-term scheduler. It simply moves a process from the job queue to the ready queue. So that is the thing. So you can see here, a long-term scheduler determines which programs are admitted to the system for processing. It selects processes from the queue and loads them into main memory for execution. So loads them into main memory is nothing but it loads them into ready queue, because ready queue is the queue which is maintained in the main memory, or ready queue is the queue which is related to the processes which are there in the main memory. All right, so this is the initial step where a program is transferred from the what we say the job queue from the job queue to the ready queue. Now the process is ready to execute. That means now the process is ready to take the CPU. Now let's see what short-term scheduler does. It is also called as a CPU scheduler. The short-term scheduler can also be called as CPU scheduler. Its main objective is to increase the performance in accordance with the chosen set of criteria. Okay. It is a change of ready state to running state of the process. CPU scheduler selects a process among the processes that are ready to execute and allocates CPU to one of them. Yeah, simple. Now, currently the process is in ready queue. That means the process is ready to be executed. The CPU scheduler selects these kind of process, and it allocates the CPU to these kind of process. So now this is the task of short-term scheduler, allocating CPU to the process. That is why it is called as a CPU scheduler. So for all the processes which are there in the ready queue, the CPU scheduler or short-term scheduler, we will allot the CPU time to each and every process waiting in the ready queue. So this is a second step. And let's see the third one, medium term scheduler. Now, a medium term scheduling is a part of swapping, right? So swapping is nothing but moving from one position to other, or uh, changing the positions. Okay, it removes the processes from the memory. It reduces the degree of multi-programming. The medium term scheduler is in charge of handling the swapped out process. See, what happens is, let me go back to the diagram here. Suppose there are 10 processes waiting here, and one by one they will get the CPU time. When the CPU, when the process which is there in the CPU phase, when it requests for the IO device or IO operation, then this medium term scheduler or whatever is there, that will swap that process back to the job queue. That means it will place that process back to the back in the hard disk or the job, so that the next process can get the CPU. So the ultimate goal of this multi-programming and this job scheduling is to utilize this CPU to the maximum. Okay, so in order to utilize the CPU efficiently, so it is never kept idle. The CPU is never idle. So if one process is waiting for IO, then that process is kept in the separate queue, and the next process assigned to the CPU. CPU is never kept idle. Understand? CPU will never wait for a process to get executed. Understand? CPU, if one process is busy doing other work, then the CPU is allocated to another process. So what this excuse me, medium term scheduler does is, it will, if the process is in IO operation state or some kind of interrupt or waiting stage, then that process is swapped back to the job queue. So it is so that the next process can get the CPU, and that the operation can be forwarded. Or it can also reduce the degree of multi-programming. Degree of multi-programming means if there are many programs to be executed, understand, and the CPU speed and the what we say, the scheduling speed, in order to maintain the balance between these two, the degree of multi-programming should run smoothly, or should be in level. There should not be dissimilarities between the scheduling speed and the CPU executing speed. So if that is happening, then the number of inputs will be more than the number of outputs. So then there will be a problem of system slowdown, or some other kind of hardware problem, or any software problem. So this medium term scheduler will maintain the degree of multi-programming. So suppose if the CPU is capable of doing or performing execution 5 programs, or it has a maximum capacity of 10, executing 10 programs at a particular point of time. So the medium term scheduler takes care of that. So it always takes care that there are only 10 programs in the ready queue, or there are some limited programs in the particular queue, so that CPU will be not be overburdened, and CPU will not get exhausted. So that is nothing but maintaining the degree of multi-programming. Okay, let us read this one. A running process may become suspended if it takes an IO request. A suspended process cannot make any progress towards completion. In this condition, To remove the process from memory and make space for another process, the suspended process is moved to the secondary storage. This process is called swapping, and this process is said to be swapped out or rolled out. So, if a particular process is in suspended state, maybe because of any IO request or any kind of interrupt, then that suspended process should be moved back to the job queue or the secondary storage device, that nothing but hard disk or any other storage device. So in order to run, or in order to make this process smoothly, so all the suspended process should be swapped back to the storage secondary storage device, and that work is carried out by the medium term scheduler. So only the active process will be in the RAM or the ready queue. The suspended process or the process which are in waiting state are shift back to or swapped back to the storage space. So by doing this, this medium term scheduler is maintaining the balance of this execution. So it is not, it is making sure that the ready queue is not overwhelmed with the process, or the CPU is not exhausted with process. So it is making sure that the throughput of this process, or the throughput of the this execution is in balance. Understand? So this is medium term scheduler. I hope you understand this one. So this is all about process scheduling. So in process scheduling, we have seen what actually a process scheduling is, and we have seen the different types of queues in process scheduling, and we have seen the schedulers also, the software which is responsible for scheduling. Okay. Yeah. If you have any doubt, you can ask me now.